Sylvia Fowles, my woman, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, well, look, I got to see you for like 3 seconds.
It was a split moment, but it was so worth it.
It was so beautiful, yeah. Um, I just have to say, as a fan, I've been watching for a long time now. I'm just so impressed and proud of you and everything that you've achieved in your career. And then the stuff that you're doing off the court as well. Like you're just a remarkable human being. How are you feeling? Like coming to the end of your career? Like what's going on in your head?
Honest opinion, tired.
Yeah.
So I can see what drove me to the decision of wanting this to be my last year. But mentally, I'm in a good place, but physically, I just don't want to do it to my body anymore. So, but other than that, I think I feel really good.
Good. So, like, what are you looking forward to most about retiring? Like, you're going to stay in the sport? What do you think?
I think I want to be active, but not to be in basketball shape. I think what I'm looking most forward to is just being on my own time. A lot of people get a false perception of us traveling and being able to do what we do and love what we do, but we really don't have time to like ourselves and enjoy the cities that we visit. And so I think that's what I'm looking more forward to is just being on my own time, doing things in my own time frame, and just finding like who I am again outside of basketball.
Yeah, that's a big one. And do you want to like stay in terms of stay connected to the sport? Like, I mean, obviously with LSU, you're an alumni
Right.
there. You with Minnesota, like a lot of people go into media or coaching or
Right.
administration. Is there anything that you sort of want to do?
As of yet, no,
Okay.
absolutely not.
You never
because
know.
you,
Like,
I feel like I've dedicated so much time to basketball, and you made so many sacrifices to be in this basketball world. I just want to do things that I haven't had the ability to do over the last 20 plus years, and that's just spend time with family, travel, and have fun.
so the work that you're doing, your advocacy work with the Sylvia Fowles Fund, do you want to
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that?
So the Sylvia Fowles Fund is just like an umbrella of different things that I'm passionate about. And that's anything dealing with kids, shelter, food, exercise and cycling, um, physical therapy, tutoring. So the Sylvia Fowles Family Fund is just an umbrella for all the things that I like to do. I have one in Baton Rouge and I also have one in Miami. And so pretty much the costs just go to whatever is needed at that time.
That's awesome. So do you do stuff on the ground with that? So you're going and doing these things, or is it just more at the moment? Like,
No, I'm actually hands-on, which I love.
yeah,
I know you know I love kids, so
yeah,
anything based around kids, I would like to be hands-on. We got a good whiff of it here in Minnesota, doing this final ride that they're doing for me, and so being able to have the opportunity to give food, we gave our bikes. We've been doing some gardening within the lower communities, and so anything that I can get my hands on with kids, I'm willing to do.
oh, Sil, you're so beautiful. Um, yeah, I guess the first time I ever met you was in Russia, I think. Was it in
Yes,
Russia?
yes, it was in Russia.
I'd watched you play for LSU, I think, in that in the final four the year
Uh
before, I
huh.
think. And I was like, damn, she's so strong. Look at her, like, wow. And then all of a sudden we're teammates in Russia. And I have to tell you, Sue was actually talking about it the other day,
Uh
because
huh.
when you first came into training, all of us were like, oh my God, she's so strong. No one wanted to guard you because you were that was when you were straight out of college. You were a
Right.
rookie.
Yes.
Um, the impact that you've had on the game, and not only on the game, like on the people around you, like you are such a kind human being. How I guess how do you find the fire? Like what motivates you when you get on the court to be like that dominant, really dominant presence? Because I feel like you are one of the most gentle, beautiful people that I know.
Thank you. I mean, it is a switch for
Yeah.
me. I think because early on, basketball wasn't something that I chose to do for a profession. I started basketball because it was something to keep me out of trouble. And so I had to hone in like on two different people. I was like, off the court, Sil can't be on the court, Sil, because Sil off the court is just too goofy. And so I had to find balance of like who I wanted to be. And I think a lot of that just transpired from my brothers. I got three other brothers who I used to play with growing up. And before I even knew the fundamentals of basketball, all I knew was defense because they never used to let me play offense. And I found that crazy when I first started playing organized basketball. I was like, how they never used to let me play offense? I thought it was just based on defense. Like you was an offense team, a defensive team. And so I think I just found that switch of who I wanted to be on the court instead of off the court. And I think that's where you guys see the most dominant Syl on the court, but off the court, you get to see the gentle and loving Syl.
Yeah, the gorgeous Syl. Who inspired you like growing up? Like, I guess when you started playing basketball, did you sort of look up to anyone in particular? Did you follow the W? Like, what did you?
I did not. I was such a late bloomer. I wasn't into basketball like that. But once I started playing, my number my coach gave me was 34. And I was like, why 34? He's like, Shaquille O'Neal. I was like, okay. And so from there, you just start doing research. But I didn't follow too many women in the WNBA. And so I looked up to like Shaq and Amari Stoudemire was my two people that I really looked up to.
So I guess in your journey in the WNBA, like, you know, I sort of look back to when I was there, a lot of things have changed. You know, I think social media really changed the sport, the platform that you girls have. But what are the biggest differences that you see, like in terms of whether it's access to resources or just the platforms that you have?
Just to piggyback off you, I think having social media changed the game for the WNBA because when we was around, it really wasn't as popular. But I also think you have a group of young women that's not willing to take anything for an answer. And so we kind of rally around that because they're very loud, they're very outspoken. And so it forces the WNBA to have to pay attention to the things that we're very passionate about and to be able to speak our voices. Another big thing I would say that I definitely seen to change is them trying to do better marketing. It's not quite where it needs to be at, but I think they are trying to make a conscious effort of making sure they market each individual and their personalities and who they are as people.
Yeah, it's so different now. Like just watching and I guess because we just interviewed Cheryl Reeve a while ago, and it's really interesting that it's more the collective. Like now, it's more about the collective of athletes and the power that you have as one, as opposed to like back in the day, it wasn't so much like that.
Right.
You know. Okay, so in terms of support staff and things like that, do you think like there's anything else the WNBA can do to like support the athletes? I mean, obviously everyone wants more money and things like that, but in terms of the resources that you have access to, mental health, physical health, your collective bargaining agreements, stuff like that.
Right. I mean, you see a big difference. Like we now have like mental health awareness. You allowed to speak to like therapists that's provided to the team. If you don't want to speak to them, then the league overall has a person that you can talk to. The resources of taking you back to school and them actually paying for you to go to school or doing internships. I think those things play a vital part in like what we do. Like you have to have some kind of balance or some kind of something else outside of basketball to keep you interested in the task ahead, because at some point basketball just like decrease real fast and you really don't have nothing to back yourself on. So they do a really good job at making sure you're trying to get into different programs or whatever you're passionate about.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then the family planning stuff as well, it was included.
Yes, that too. I'm still shocked we just put that in our collective bargaining agreement. Like, I still don't understand like how as women athletes, we never had a maternity leave call into effect. Like that still baffles me sometimes.
Yeah. But I think, like you said, the way that the league is really starting to invest in each and every one of you individually is so it's actually setting the foundation for all the other leagues around the world. Like you can't be professional unless you actually invest in the athletes and give them what they need and the support and the services to move forward and evolve as human beings. So it's been awesome to watch. I feel like I was born in the wrong decade.
And you know what's really, really cool too to see? Like a lot of former WNBA players go back into the WNBA, whether it's front office, whether it's on the floor with the girls, whether it's like leadership roles. I think that's pretty cool because we didn't have that in the beginning when I first started either, you know? So it's good to see familiar faces.
It's awesome. Talk about your relationship with Cheryl Reeve as a coach. Yeah, she's awesome, isn't she? I'm going to try and get her on here as well. I think
she's amazing. Like she definitely was a game changer for me. So when I left Chicago in 2014, after my 2014 season, Simone had a big part of me coming to Minnesota, and she pretty much broke down how Cheryl was and like how she's very cutthroat and like she's direct and she's very straight to the point. And that's something that I needed because I always had those coaches growing up. I never had a coach that take it easy on me, so I thrive in that atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to her on the phone the first day, and she was like, well, what do you need from me? And I basically was like, don't bullshit me. Like, don't tell me what you think I want to hear. And she was like, I need you to give me that too. And I think since then, that's how we operate. We thrive in that atmosphere where we can be open and honest and transparent with each other. And she's been a game changer for my career. It's like, I don't know. I feel like I took 10 steps backwards when I came to Minnesota playing wise.
You've been incredible.
Thanks.
You've been incredible. Like everything that you've done in your career, I think, you've been the premier post for that league and for so long now, like 2008, was it?
2008. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, you've been remarkable what you've been able to achieve. Look, I guess obviously the WNBA and the NBA are sort of intrinsically aligned. Mm-hmm. What, if anything, like this is sort of a hard question, but what do you see in terms of inequity? I mean, obviously the money is a big one because, right. But I think, and then the commercial air travel and things like right. that. But is there other things that you think that the guys get that the women don't get?
More marketing deals.
Probably the biggest one, huh?
Marketing deals. I feel like, I don't know. I can't say how easy their job is, but from the outside looking in, it feels like it can be so easy to market women. It's not like we have a league of like funny looking women. We got beautiful women in this league that they can market, and I feel like we should have way more deals, feminine wise, and that we just can't seem to reach. And that's one thing that I would like to see thrive over the next couple of years in WNBA.
Yeah, I think like when people figure out how to really truly market women's sport and women in sport, it's going to be a game changer for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel if any league can do it, it'll be the WNBA.
That's what I say. That's what I say.
So I guess on that note, like what are some of the main challenges that you see the WNBA facing? I mean, you've probably just touched on a little bit there, but like in the future?
Besides our traveling, I think at some point that's going to have to change because the schedules that we have and some back-to-back games that you have on the road, it's conflicting. And I don't think they really understand like how hard it is for an athlete to have to play in travel and not getting the proper rest and what that causes to the body and stuff like that. I would love to see the change of travel like soon.
Yeah, I often say to people, and this is just from my experience, but I feel like the air travel and traveling commercial economy actually lessened, like that was part of the reason why I couldn't do it anymore, because whether it's, the swelling and the, altitude and everything like that, my body was just punished over there. And I truly believe it was flying commercial.
But it makes a big difference if you can leave after the game and get to the next city at 2:00 in the morning instead of getting up at 7 and taking a 9 o'clock flight and getting there after midday. So it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and the schedule's grueling too, so it's sort of...
Don't even get me started on the scheduling.
You've been through a few commissioners over there. I think probably Donna Orender, Kathy now. Like what do you see leadership looks like in that role?
Fully embracing the differences of each woman. I think it's kind of a hard task for anybody to be in that position. Yeah. But I think when you fully dive in and see the things that we're passionate about and what we believe in, the things that we stand up for, it will make it that much easier to be behind our backs. I think a lot of these commissioners come in with saying they can improve the league, but not touching on the basics. And the basics is, who are these people as individuals?
Yeah. Yep. I feel like, after watching the hub season, or what did you call it? What was it, a hub or a bubble?
Bubble season. Yes, it was the bubble.
There was a lot of stuff that you all did during the bubble around Black Lives Matter and that was pretty remarkable, that advocacy work that everyone was doing, and the way that you all came together was just something, it was incredible. And it looked like she was really behind that and supporting that, which she should be. But from the outside looking in, it was such an incredible time for the league, and it looked like it was sort of building bridges, you know what I mean?
Yes, I definitely would say that's probably one of the most powerful moments throughout this league, because you had us all in one space. That's very rare that we're all in one space. And so when you have 144 players, women at that, and we are very stubborn and we're very open and blunt about the things that we want, a lot of things can get done. And I think we just amplified when everybody was on the same page. We was having meetings, we was getting our points across, we were standing up for each other, we was going after people who had something to say. And so it was pretty remarkable to see. It definitely was.
It was awesome. I think, you all set a standard then as well, that, no one can come back from that, so it's sort of such an exciting time for women's sport, but just what the power of the playing group collectively can achieve. It was awesome. Well, we sort of touched on, like how you've handled your sort of physical health and stuff over the last few years, but how have you handled physical and mentally, like the grind, do you still play? You haven't played overseas for a while, obviously.
Oh, I haven't played overseas in the last 5 years, I want to say. You work harder. I mean, you work smarter, not harder, that saying. So I've switched from doing like heavy weights, a lot of running. A lot of my workouts look like bands, pool, cycling. And so I think I can get in shape in that form without having to put the pressure on my joints. And it's been good for me over the last couple of years. And so that's how I stay in shape. I can't even say I eat healthy because I don't. I just thank God for good genetics. And then I try to stay up on my training by doing those things. Probably once, twice out of the week that I actually get out and go to the beach and run. But other than that, it's low impact cardio for me.
Yeah, right. And then emotionally, like, how have you looked after your mental health through all of this? Because it takes its toll,
I have a therapist that I talk to twice a week, faithfully. And then it's good to have just a good support system. I have my mom, I have my siblings, I have my mate. And so it's like those things that keep me grounded, making sure I don't have too much slippage. And if I feel like I'm going off the deep end, they always, look, it can be worse type thing. And so keeping me honest, but at the same time having the opportunity to express the way I feel.
And how are you sort of, I guess now that you're sort of on your retirement lap around the league and stuff, how are you coping with all of that? Is it overwhelming or?
Very overwhelming because I didn't want the attention. Like, that's so out of my league. But I have an agent that's very stubborn, and I have a head coach who feels like I deserve the credit.
You do.
Which in some form I do, but then again, I'm just like, I mean, I didn't get it then, it really don't matter now type thing. But it's been overwhelming. I've learned to appreciate the love and the support that I've been getting from every city, because those are like true fans, but it still get weird to be able to have that recognition. But I guess I take the good with the bad.
You gotta be celebrated, girl. Celebrate ourselves. You're such a beautiful human. So tell me, what are you going to be doing? Like, what do you want to do?
So my plans is after the season is kick back and relax for a little bit. I want to travel. I want kids.
Have kids and then come to Australia.
Well, how about I come to Australia, then have kids? Okay. I want to travel. I want to have kids, and then I'm finishing school for my mortuary science stuff, which is a little bizarre, but I'm excited about that.
That's amazing. Yeah, talk about it. Where did that come from?
So it's something that I've been wanting to do since a kid, but you kind of get lost in the sauce when you're growing up. And so basketball pretty much took over. And I want to say right after I had my hip repair in 13, going into 14, I talked to you about it. And I talked to Sue, and I was like, how does it feel? Like, are you going to be okay? He's like, you're going to be fine. I think in that time frame too, I had to be realistic with myself about at some point I have to start winding down on basketball. And I was like, what can I do that I'm going to be just as passionate about? And that's what it was. I was like, oh, I can go back to school for mortuary science. Is something that I always wanted to do. And I fell in love with it. And it's something that I look forward to doing.
So, okay. Let's just delve a little bit deeper into this. How did you know that that's what you wanted to do? Like, did you just wake up one day and go, I want to do this? Like, what?
Well, first of all, I've always been a weird kid, curious about everything. So anything that I seen that was like deceased, I was like, oh, I wonder what it looked like inside. So I was like that kid, almost on the like psycho end. But I think for me, I was a kid who was like a walk analogy. So when we went to my grandmother's funeral when I was about 5, 6 years old, my older siblings thought it was a good idea to like give her a kiss. And when I kissed her, I had an allergic reaction, which I found out that it was from the embalming fluid. And so since then, I remember we was on our way to the burial and I told my mom that this is what I was going to do when I grow up because they didn't do it right. And so it kind of sparked from there. And I kind of left it alone and didn't think about it. But when I honestly thought about going back to school, I just wanted to do like the cosmetic side of like hair, makeup, and dress.
Yeah.
But when I started taking embalming classes, I was like, oh, I like this. Like I can really do this. And so you have to do internships and stuff like that. And it turned out fine. Like I'm totally fine with like seeing the bodies. I'm okay with doing what I have to do and don't feel weird. I told myself if I go home and then I have like bad dreams or feel weird about it, it's not what I was going to do, but I've been totally fine.
It's pretty amazing though. Like it's an amazing career that, you know, to, I guess, look after the dead really. It's to,
it's humbling. It's very humbling to put yourself in that atmosphere. I really don't like the front of the house. The front of the house is like dealing with all the paperwork and the family and stuff like that and the funerals, which I can't hold myself together. So it's like, I'm going to be at your funeral crying. And you got to hold yourself together a little bit. But I remember the first time that I actually had to do one guy by myself and his mom came in and just her reaction from how good he looked and how well presented he was, like that feeling I will never forget. And I think that what drives me to do that is because if I can make anybody feel that way to see they loved one for the last time, I'm willing to take that chance.
Oh, Phil, you're so beautiful, so giving. No, you are.
I just love you so much, Lauren.
Love you too.
She's my favorite.
Yeah, you're my favorite too. I actually said that when I was in Seattle. They interviewed me and was asking me about you, and I don't think they realized I'd get the sort of emotional response that I gave. I was like, oh my God, I love
She's my favorite. I tell people all the time, they're like, well, who you let? Lauren. Well, Lauren, she used to beat me up.
I did not. You used to beat me up.
Lauren, I didn't.
Oh, girl, you are so strong. I should never get around you. I have like one more question, and this is like completely not related, but it sort of is. In terms of like being a role model to kids, because like I'm just asking this more so because you are doing so much work in the community, you love children, you love spending time with them. Like what motivates you to want to be that sort of person to them, that role model, like to be able to give back? And why do you think it's important?
Okay, so what makes me want to give back to kids and be in that position to have someone to look up to is because I had that growing up. We grew up in a very rough area. And you would think like I got into everything, but it was certain people in the neighborhood didn't let me do certain things. I couldn't be in certain spots at a certain time. And so I always had people who looked out for me. So I felt like it was only right just to give back of what I know. And so it was a no-brainer for me to like be there for kids when they're in need. And so I think that's why I'm so passionate about it, because somebody did it for me. And I think it's important too to have somebody to look up to that has the caliber to be on that platform. Not too many inner city kids get to see role models or understand what it takes to step outside of the boundaries and be different. And so I think if you can learn that early on and learn how to cope with different feelings and emotions, like eventually everything will be all right.
Yeah. Yep. Good answer. You're
LJ.
amazing. Yeah.
I love you, girl.
I love you too. Thank you so much. I'm sorry we didn't get to catch up.
Oh, please. We got time. I'm definitely coming to visit.
Good.
That's a goal of mine.
All right. I'll show you a good time.
Okay, I take it.
Love you, darling.
Love you too, babe. No problem.
Bye.